For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. And Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the Record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, and welcome to For the Record. Today is Monday, the 4th day of March 2019. I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls. Normally, that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Of course, if you don't like to talk on the telephone, email us at For the Record. That is one word, For the Record, at candw.ky. You can WhatsApp us on 925-3261. where we encourage you to leave us a text message or send us a voice note. And, of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. I trust that everyone had an enjoyable weekend. It didn't seem as if anything seriously happened over the weekend, nothing dramatic. Those of you who were at the beach enjoying the sunshine and everything, I trust that you enjoyed that as well. I believe that school is out this week, but we also want to continue to remind you to be careful on the roads, observe the rules of the road, whether you're a pedestrian, whether you're a cyclist, whether you're operating a motorcycle, any other type of motor vehicle on the road. Please be cautious. Remember that the life that you save may be your own. And when those school buses are back on the road, remember to, again, observe the rules of the road. When those flashing lights are on and the vehicle is stopped, please stop. When you're driving through school zones and those flashing lights are on that say, and the signs that remind you that you should be driving at 15 miles an hour, please do so, even if you don't see anyone on the road, as long as the lights are flashing. Always remember, the life that you save may simply be your own, or in this case, it may be a family member as well, if you probably hit them, or a friend, or otherwise. So again, we urge you to be extremely careful. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning two very prominent members of the Cayman Islands, but they're also prominent members of the agricultural section here in Grand Cayman. We have with us former leader of government business, former MLA, current member of the Agricultural Society, the Honorable D. Kirk Tibbetts, and it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me Minister Juliana O'Connor Connolly. She's the minister responsible for education, for sports, lands, and agriculture, and she herself is also a prominent farmer in the BRAC. So without any further ado, I would like to say good morning. Welcome to For the Record to the Honourable Kurt Tibbetts, and good morning. Welcome to For the Record again, the Honourable Juliana O'Connor Connolly.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Orrett. Good morning, and certainly it's a wonderful pleasure for me to be here sitting alongside the sitting minister, who I know thinks as highly of the agricultural sector in the Cayman Islands as I do.
Yes, and I have to give her a little secret. She did share some of the fruits of her labor, pardon the pun, with us this morning as well.
They will be taken from
I
you.
I know.
Well, see, maybe you would permit me to do two pieces of housekeeping.
Sure, Minister. Go right ahead.
First, it was the Honourable Katie's birthday. You probably wouldn't want me to say that.
You're right about that.
And I listened on Friday too.
Yeah, and I wish to, on behalf of the BPM government and entire civil service, to wish them a very blessed and happy birthday. And the second piece of housekeeping is that I have a tradition that I don't do in the meetings or anything until I pray, so I would beg your indulgence if we could do that this morning.
Certainly will. Thanks. Minister, go right ahead.
Our kind and precious Heavenly Father, we want to begin this day thanking you and realizing who you are. Lord, we thank you that you've given us such a blessed land. We thank you for those who are in For the Record today and for the valiant way that they disseminate knowledge to our people and empower our people, because knowledge is power. We pray as we go into Agriculture Week, and in particular commencement here in Grand Cayman on Wednesday, that you continue to bless all of our farmers, the Agriculture Department, the Ministry and the entire sector, and in particular the Agriculture Society. We pray that you continue to take them from strength to strength as we acknowledge that you have founded us upon the seas. For these we ask in Jesus' name with thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much for that, Minister. And, for those of you, we just want to remind you that when you look at the preamble of our Constitution, it talks about our Christian heritage, and it is good that we continue to ensure that that part of our heritage remains prominent here in the Cayman Islands as well. Minister, with your indulgence, I'm going to start off by reading something and sharing this with my listening and viewing audience as well. And this is from the Tradewinds newspaper, Thursday, the 18th of February, 1965. And it has to do with the agriculture show, which we will be talking about this morning. And it reads, Agriculture Show to be presented on Ash Wednesday. And it reads, the Cayman Islands Agricultural Society will be staging its third annual show. Remember now, this is in 1965, so the third one, that would mean that it started 1962? 1965, the third one, yes. The show will be on the grounds of the Cayman Islands High School. The society invites all livestock, agricultural products, handicraft, home products, horticulture, and school exhibits from for competition. Prizes will be awarded for the best exhibits and second best in each class. There are 213 classes in the prize list, so there must be many items. Get the prize list and see the wide range. There is an item for every one, and then it goes down and lists all of the various exhibits. But I just wanted to read this just to show that in 1965 we were celebrating our third agriculture show.
Was in 63.
63, okay.
63, 64, 65, inclusive.
That's right, inclusive, yes. Thank you very much for that. And just to show you that tradition started 1963 and it continued religiously right up to this day. So with that, Minister, I want you to talk about the upcoming agriculture show and I'm going to pass the mic over to you and the Honourable Kurt Tibbetts as well, Minister.
Thank you, O.C. Certainly. Thanks for reading that historical excerpt. It shows that more things change, the more they remain the same.
Yes.
Obviously, we've improvised and improved and augmented the system. But it's also noteworthy to note that we had not so long come off being annexed to Jamaica, Westmoreland, and Cayman had that independence, pardon the pun, genetically encoded in them, that they realised that food security and national food security was important from then. So certainly I'm sure Katie and myself would wish to congratulate the farmers and that farming industry, and it was even more important than OC, because people went to sea, but if you didn't do that and go to church, you farmed the land, which included women. So it's a gender neutral industry that we still wish to promote. The show is on Wednesday, which everyone will know, and I leave it to Katie, who's here as representative for agriculture, to go into the logistics of the show, the times, etc. But it's always an exciting time of the year and a very busy time for the ministry. The ministry supports it in many ways, but in particular, we give a grant. It used to be $20,000 and now it's $30,000. This year we're really excited because in a few hours we're going to be signing a contract with the president of the Agriculture Society to continue a program that Katie started for the importation of cattle, so that we could diversify the DNA and the supply of meat here in the island for $270,000, and that's because they had some left from the last time. So I think when the aggregate sum will be about $300,000. So we're excited that that program will continue, and the whole policy behind it, which I concur and the PPM government fully endorse, is that it's seed money, so that as they come and sell it, those funds will be recycled, recirculated, so that they can have a continuous flow and a continuous diversification of the DNA to supplement our artificial insemination that's going extremely well at the Agriculture Department.
And that program is highly subscribed. I know a lot of people who participated in it and benefited
if I may just
immensely
add something,
from it. Sure.
Sorry, if I may just add something to it. And this is a sermon to the farmers, to the livestock farmers also. We have to make sure that while we are producing quality livestock, that we also keep our prices within marketable range. The prices have been going up simply because of the usual laws of supply and demand. But there are still a lot of people out there who, if the disparity is too great, will certainly revert to USDA. I have nothing against USDA, but it is not my cow.
Precisely.
So this program will help to keep those prices within range, understanding that the local farmers cannot compete with USDA prices, whether it's regular stew or whether it's a choice cut. But certainly we need to keep that within range, so the supermarkets will continue to buy the animals wholesale, and at the same time, hopefully the program will get to the point where the livestock farmers can buy breeding stock, so that while they supplement their volume of cattle to be able to be slaughtered, they can also grow their own herds, so that they get to the point where they're more self-sufficient than they are now.
Yes, with that, we'll take a commercial break. Sorry, I'm broke, but we'll take a break. We'll take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned for the record with the Honourable Juliana O'Connor Connolly, Minister for Education, Sports, Agriculture and Lands, and former Premier, former member of the Legislative Assembly, former Minister, the Honourable D. Kurt Tibbetts. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the historical vignette series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
Major Joseph Rodriguez Watler, formerly known as Mr. Roddy Watler, was born on the 3rd of March, 1880 in the district of Red Bay. He died at age 75 in April of 1965. Major Watler served as Inspector of Police for some 33 years. He also served as lighthouse keeper, foreman of public works, boarding officer of vessels, and warehouse keeper. He was appointed officer in charge of the Cayman Islands Company of the Jamaican Home Guard on October the 1st, 1942, until March 31st, 1945, when the war ceased. During the hurricane of 1932, Major Watler exhibited much bravery in rescuing 20 people who were marooned in Red Bay. For this service, he was awarded the King George V and Queen Mary Silver Medal for bravery. Major Watler was also an elder and manager of Elmsland Memorial United Church for many years.
Radio Cayman's Historical Facts vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
$540 months.
16,425 days.
394,200 hours.
45 years.
That's how long we've been committed to serving you, and we won't stop there. Over the years, we have proudly grown with Cayman, making a difference in the community. That's why we're here to stand by you.
We are Cayman National.
And we thank you for standing by us for 45 years and counting.
The Cayman Pharmacy Group would like to thank the Cayman communities for their continuous support for over the past decade. CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy opened its doors in March 2000. West Bay Pharmacy first opened their doors in March 2004. The Cayman Pharmacy Group was established in July 2007. Throughout the years, our CPG family has provided more than just pharmaceuticals to our loyal friends and customers. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has protected the lives of our medical community by securing the best healthcare advice and pharmaceutical services. To us at CPG, you are more than just a number. So, we are taking the time to say thank you for choosing CPG. The Cayman Pharmacy Group, taking care of your health.
Thinking of doing more to show your sweetheart you really care? Explore new roads together with the 2019 RAV4, Vamped Motors' #1 selling SUV. Save $2,000 off all 2019 RAV4s loaded with features you both will fall in love with, like maximum comfort and cargo space inside, eco mode for low fuel consumption, an audio system with USB and Bluetooth connectivity, vehicle stability and traction control to help you navigate wet roads, and advanced safety features to keep you and your loved ones safe. Do more for your sweetheart and save $2,000 now on the all-new 2019 RAV4 from Vamped Motors, Walkers Road.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Rotary Central Cayman is proud to have been part of the Valentine's Day program Rotary Has Heart. This February 2019, providing invaluable resources, food vouchers worth CI $5,000 made available to Bridge Foundation and Hope for Today, 2 community partners with heart. Rotary Central Cayman, part of the Rotary District 7020 Zone 34, a fellowship of 83 clubs spread over 10 countries covering 16 islands in the Northwest Caribbean. Rotary Has Heart, another inspiration program through Rotary Central.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning the Honorable Juliana O'Connor Connolly, Minister responsible for education, sports, lands, and agriculture, and also with us, former leader of government business, former member of the Legislative Assembly, I'll change that at the next half an hour. This once everybody's familiar with you, then of course you need no introduction whatsoever. The Honorable D. Kurt Tibbetts. We're talking about the 52nd annual agricultural show here in the Cayman Islands. And before I throw the mic back over to our two guests, I just want to give you a little bit more historical information about the third agricultural show and some of the officials who were in charge during that period of time. This paragraph says, if you need more information, please contact Mr. E.U. McNamee, President, Wentworth Bawden. Those of you who don't recognize the name Wentworth, that would have been Mr. Bunny Bawden. He was the secretary. Mr. Arthur Ebanks of West Bay, Mr. Craddock Ebanks of North Side, Mr. Warren Connolly of East End, Mr. Lindbergh Eden of Savannah, or Mr. Logan Bawden of Bawden Town. If these fail you, talk to your neighbors. What a way, what a way, Minister.
Good campaign slogan.
Now, Mr. Tibbetts, I believe that we missed 1 year of our agriculture show.
Yes, that was as a result of Hurricane Ivan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they still tried to put the show on, but it was not a society show. So I don't want to say that show was a failure, because I think the efforts were laudable, but it really wasn't a full-fledged show. So that is why it's not the 53rd. But just to quickly move on, that's why I was telling you, just call me by the name so we could get more stuff in.
Sure, okay.
The show starts at 7:30 a.m. And, of course, there'll be all kinds of things on sale. We'll go through that as quickly as we can as in between the show, but certainly the Minister can also fill you in on the various roles when the official part of the show is at 10 a.m. So perhaps she can continue on from there.
Well, we're just basically following the program from the last year. Of course, it's the first time for the Governor, so he will be there as well. The Honourable Premier will be there ringing the cowbell, who's an avid farmer himself and a great supporter of agriculture. I'll be doing the welcome. The President George will be doing remarks, and we'll do our tour. This year there's a new introduction where there's like some rest stops as you go along, because, it's Cayman, it's quite hot. And we'll do our traditional luncheon as well, and Katie can talk about that some more as the rep from agriculture. And this year I asked them to add a gospel concert, so that will be on show at 5 p.m. until 8 o'clock. I wanted to do fireworks, but it was much, much too expensive, so perhaps Santa Claus will come this year. Next year we can put it on.
Lord Graham couldn't give you a good discount on it. Lord Graham, I hope you're listening in
the
there.
Pressure on. We still got 48 hours.
So we will have the opening ceremonies, the parade with the horses and everything. That's at 10 o'clock. Now, as far as the public is concerned, because we know there's so much excitement generated from this, people want to buy plants, want to buy fruits, want to buy things in advance. There was 1 year, I think, there was a business after hours.
More than 1 year.
Yeah, that took place. Will that be taking place this year again?
Unfortunately not. I did ask about it, but it just seemed that there was so many other things going on that they didn't have the manpower to do it. And we're hoping that we can reinstate it next year, because that was a good time to bring the business people in the evening before the farmers, because at the end of the day, a lot of them were the ones who were buying the produce, and you could get to move on to the value-added products, and they could become more aware on an intimate, more closer basis. But all is not lost. We're still going to have an excellent show.
I'm sure it will be.
I just want to add that you're damned if you do and damned if you don't, because that same business after hours show, which was wonderful,
yes,
and did exactly what Minister just said, you still have the people who don't attend that quarreling the next day that those people who came the night before got the best stuff. So it doesn't matter what you do, you can't win them all.
Yeah.
The good part about all of it is that in most areas they're sufficient, so you're not going to have an early sellout of stuff, which is really good. And the fact that the business after hours will not take place tomorrow evening, I just suspect that very early on Wednesday morning, as daylight comes, people are going to be on the road. So when we say officially opens at 7:30, I think you'll have people there before, and people will be selling before, but that's not a problem. And we've continued to add parking in proximity to the show itself. So I suspect that people may find it a little easier, especially those who come early. And there are lots of things which people will be selling. They just to quickly say the midday, I call it a siesta after walking in the sun for so long, for the dignitaries will be in the usual tent, and the dignitaries will be treated to local Caymanian cuisine, and I'm sure as usual they will all enjoy. I'm not quite sure exactly what the menu is, because I have not been intimately involved with that since I've washed my hands of cooking commercially.
It's usually a widespread. It's usually a widespread
but
of almost everything.
Everything that you could think about, people will be able to enjoy. And while everyone can't be invited to that, the fact of the matter is the local vendors will have all of that stuff all over again and again and again. So they'll be fine.
Okay, we have about 2 minutes before we go to our news. Minister, I noticed in this article in 1965, no mention was made of the BRAC. So I want to give you an opportunity to also mention here, even though I'm sure that it will be promoted more as it gets closer, the agriculture show in the BRAC as well. Yes. And then one in Little Cayman too, I believe, also.
Yes, thank you. See, the agriculture show this year is on the 23rd. We have it on a Saturday as opposed to Wednesday. And Cayman Airways, again, in partnership with the ministry, will be putting on the normal charter.
And we have bigger planes this time,
and
too.
we have bigger planes as well. And they go over in the morning, come back in the afternoon. The planning is well underway. Agriculture Department have already set up the plants, which is always a very popular thing there where persons wish to buy. We had residents a couple of years ago from Little Cayman who saw what was happening in the BRAC, and some of them saw what was happening in Grand Cayman. So we've also extended that opportunity for persons in Little Cayman, and it's more like a country fair day because their land there, as far as being arguable, is de minimis, but they still come out and have a great time. They usually have more like jams and jellies and arts and crafts and lots of good cakes. And as you know, Little Cayman have a whole different demographic, so you'll find that they're very artistic and skilled. A lot of them are North American and from New Orleans area, so you have some Cajun food there as well. So we would take a time to plug for the BRAC on the 23rd. If you haven't booked your ticket, book it, because Cayman Airways is filling up, but there's quite a bit of capacity, so we hope to see you there in Little Cayman as well.
Okay, we've reached that time, top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. Folks, please stay tuned. When we return, the conversation about the 52nd Agriculture Show here in the Cayman Islands will continue with Honourable Juliana O'Connor Connolly and Mr. Kurt Tibbetts. So please stay tuned. Don't change that dial.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
And studio time by Price Right is 8 o'clock.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
Access. Information. Your community. News and information. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
With your latest news, I'm Karsley Fuller.
All of our passengers who are here for our Denver flight want to give you a warm, very warm Caymanian welcome to take on board with you this morning to very cold Denver.
Cayman Airways kicks off twice weekly service to Denver on Saturday with a full flight and just a touch of ceremony.
The introduction of this route and this flight is a milestone for Cayman Airways. It's the longest flight that Cayman Airways has ever undertaken.
CAL CEO Fabian Worm says the flight wouldn't have been possible without the recent acquisition of a 737 MAX 8 aircraft. Passengers on the inaugural flight were treated to music and snacks, along with an official ribbon cutting in the departure hall. Tanya Napick tells Radio Cayman she is thrilled about the new route.
I have family in Denver, and we love to ski, so we just can't wait, and we're so thankful that Cayman Airways has brought this flight for all of us passengers and residents here in Cayman.
Next on the Cayman Airways agenda, the arrival of another MAX 8 aircraft, and they're looking at Los Angeles as the next new gateway. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service partners with the portfolio of the Civil Service to upskill its officers and civilian staff in customer service, leadership, and management. The RCIPS says this initiative reflects its commitment to the wider civil service vision of becoming a world-class civil service. And the police service believes that providing excellent customer service is an objective for the whole organization, not just for officers on the front line. All officers and staff of all ranks and grades will be required to participate in a customer service workshop that will be offered several times over the course of the coming year until all RCIPS employees have completed it. The 2019 Orchid Show will feature an exhibition of locally grown orchids and a plant sale of specially imported orchids, most of which are in bloom. John Loris is the general manager.
Less than a month away, on Saturday, March 30th and Sunday, March 31st, will be our annual Orchid Show and Sale at the Queen Elizabeth II Botanic Park, hosted in partnership with the Cayman Islands Orchid Society from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. each day. Local resident admissions are only $5. We're going to have educational talks, jerk barbecue, drinks, orchid displays, and of course, hundreds of orchids on sale.
The event has also become an occasion for educating gardeners on the techniques of growing orchids. Proceeds from the show will go towards setting up an orchid garden at the Botanic Park. Again, the show is March 30th and 31st from 9 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. at the Botanic Park. And the Little Cayman Research Center welcomes its newest staffer, Cassandra McDowell. She is the Central Caribbean Marine Institute's current ocean science scholar, marine education intern, a position supported by the Edmund F. and Virginia B. Ball Foundation. She will be joining the CCMI team in Little Cayman for the next 3 to 6 months from Cayman Brac. She graduated with honors from Lehman E. Scott Senior High School, became the Cayman Brac representative for Plastic Free Cayman, took on the lead responsibility of the Cayman Islands Department of Environment's permitted Go Green iguana culling efforts on Cayman Brac, and had the opportunity to work with the Guy Harvey Ocean Foundation on their annual stingray census survey, as well as on their whale shark migration project in Mexico. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, who will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's Newsroom.
BBC News with Eileen McHugh. The US consulate in Jerusalem will today be merged with the country's embassy there. The move has angered Palestinians, whom the consulate has served. It has also provided a direct channel of communication between the US and the Palestinian Authority. 2 tornadoes have killed at least 23 people and caused widespread damage in the US state of Alabama. Thousands of people have spent the night without heating, with temperatures dropping near freezing. The United States has cancelled the downgrading of the EU's embassy in Washington. Last year, it started treating it as the mission of an international organisation, a lower rank than that of nation-state. Relations between the two have been fractious since Donald Trump took office. The British government will be spending more than $2 billion to help poor areas after Brexit. Critics have said ministers are hoping the funds will get opposition MPs to support the government's Brexit deal. A train connection between India and Pakistan has been restored after being suspended because of the escalating tension over Kashmir. Relations between the two deteriorated sharply after a Pakistan-based militant group carried out a deadly suicide bombing in India. BBC News.
Access. Information. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life
it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price, and a service to make you smile.
Herb's Home Center. We got a great deal in store for you.
Tune in to Radio Cayman every morning at 7:20 a.m. for your daily weather update. Proudly brought to you by Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. With over 47 years of experience, they'll get the job done for you on time. Free estimate. Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. Call them at 949-4709 for a free estimate.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Puritan Cleaners.
Come take advantage of our 1-month special prepay on Wednesday and Thursday, starting now through March 28. Example, king and queen spreads and comforters for as low as $18. Blankets as low as $14.95. Ask about reduced prices on drapery cleaning. See Monday's newspapers. Puritan Cleaners, the center for all your dry cleaning and laundry needs, including wearing apparel. Puritan Cleaners, Savannah Countryside, 946-1884. Elgin Avenue, 949-2452. Eastern Avenue, 949-1074. Drive through, rain or shine. You feel good when you look good. Puritan Cleaners.
Brother, sister, mother, father, aunt, uncle, nephew, niece, friend, colleague, husband.
You and everyone you love can join the fight against diabetes. March 16th at 6 a.m. Join the management and staff of Seoul Cayman and Esso service stations on a 5K walk or run to benefit the Cayman Islands Diabetes Association. Registration forms available at any Esso station. T-shirt collection from Barcam service station only. Early bird $10. General registration is $15. Follow Seoul Cayman on Facebook for more details.
The Esso brand is a trademark of ExxonMobil Corporation and is used under license.
Pleasant good morning. Time now for the latest weather report. Current temperature is 79 degrees. Relative humidity is 84%. Barometric pressure 30.98 inches and rising. Winds are calm. Overnight low temperature was 74 degrees. Synopsis indicate light easterly winds and slight seas will continue across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours due to a weak pressure gradient across the northern Caribbean. Radar images show isolated showers around the Cayman area moving towards the west-northwest. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of afternoon showers, and temperatures will be in the mid-80s. Your winds will be east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Tonight, mainly fair skies with a 20% chance of showers and temperatures falling to the low 70s tonight. Your winds will be east to northeast at 5 knots or less, and seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. High tide will be this morning at 4 minutes past 11, low tide this evening at 5:23, and a high tide again tonight at 11:48. The sun will set this evening at 6:30 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:42. And the outlook through Wednesday morning is calling for similar weather conditions.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, formerly known as Professional Pharmacy, would like to thank the Cayman communities for their loyal support these past 18 years. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care. Thorough background checks and follow-up consultations is only the beginning. Your safety is our concern. Our staff are respected healthcare professionals whose job requires careful and precise calculations. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, where we prepare to provide exceptional care. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we care about your health.
Good morning, and time now to take a look what's happening traffic-wise. Busy traffic on the Linford-Pearson Highway, as well as on Crew Road, and steady traffic coming off of Bobby Thompson Way, and steady traffic as well on some sections of Crew Road and closer to town. Traffic is steady. Traffic flowing moderately on Edward Street and Shedden Road, Godfrey Nixon Way, moderate flow of traffic. Thomas Russell Way, traffic is moderate as well, and on the Westway Road in front of the Ritz, traffic moderate in both directions. That's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12. We'll update you traffic-wise. Have a good morning and buckle up.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes. Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're talking about the 52nd annual agricultural show here in the Cayman Islands, taking place on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, the 6th of March, Ash Wednesday. It is a holiday. We know that it is a huge, one of the biggest attractions in the Cayman Islands for the year. Huge turnout. We know people who, Caymanians who live overseas, who schedule their vacation for this time of the year to be here in the Cayman Islands. An opportunity for them to meet old acquaintances, family members or whatever. Everyone goes out there to look for the food, the plants, the camaraderie, everything that you can imagine. This discussion is taking place this morning with the minister responsible for agriculture, the Honourable Juliana O'Connor Connolly, and Mr. Kurt Tibbetts, who's a member of the Agricultural Society. So we want to tell you everything about the show. If you have any questions, we invite you to call in our toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037, 949-6990. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to Radio Cayman live stream. WhatsApp us on 925-3261 or email us at fortherecord@candw.ky. Minister and Mr. Tibbetts, back to you.
Thanks, Osi. We just want to give a plug for some of the activities that will be happening during the day.
Yes.
For example, under the pavilion at 12 p.m. we'll have our district cake tasting competition. We'll also be showcasing our cooking competition, which will feature the National Youth Culinary Program. They will be specialising in the lionfish dish. We'll also have this year an experience for a children play area, which will be in addition to the pony rides and the pet and zoo for the children. We believe that this area promises to be quite a bit of fun with action games, face painting, bouncing castles, maze and playground, storytelling and much, much more.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, on our grandstand, we'll be showcasing lots of musical entertainment, which will feature Cayman's most talented musician and performers. So all in all, we'll have a great day. Of course, we want to also plug our tickets. The general gate tickets will be $10 and $25 for, it's 25,000 gate prize.
20,000.
20,000 gate prize. And we were talking earlier on about Caymanians being genetically encoded. I think if there's an additional encodement, it's to buy raffle tickets.
Yes,
so we're asking you to come out and support.
And it's perfectly legal.
Come out and support our farmers, because it does take money to continue running the show, and it gets better and better each year. And I'll ask Honourable Katie to continue on with some of the activities that's promised to be a most exciting day.
All right, I think better said it when it comes to the raffle tickets, we should say it's not illegal. It's not perfectly legal, but it's not illegal. I just want to make a general comment, and I think it's safe to say that while there is always room for improvement, today we can say that agriculture is alive and well here in the Cayman Islands.
Yes,
and there are many more individuals who not only have become interested in agriculture, but also beginning to make a living from agriculture. Some of the things that used to happen that don't happen quite as much anymore. Everybody used to grow the same thing at the same time. The market would get flooded for 3 weeks, and then there would be another famine of the product for 3 months. And that would cause not only wastage and spoilage, but farmers would not reap optimum benefits from their labor. So that is much more organized now, and also technology has come to bear on the industry, and people are using technology to be able to be more efficient with their crops. And I believe that all of the supermarkets are now taking just about anything that the locals can provide, and they have a section for local produce. So it is well for us, as we understand exactly what the importance is of agriculture. One of the things that I want to certainly make comment on and say a big thank you is to the discerning consumer, the residents of the Cayman Islands, not just locals, but the residents of the Cayman Islands, who are now turning to our local produce more and more and more. And I want to reiterate, I spoke about the livestock industry this morning and the importance of keeping prices within range. It is the same way throughout, and that is what not only gets your foot into the door at the supermarkets, but it also grows on the customer, and certainly you find that they turn to the local stuff all the more, because eat healthy is the order of the day. So in making that comment, while we speak about the show specifically, I want to move on to say that the Agriculture Show on Wednesday will be perhaps the best place and time for anyone to be able to buy a myriad of products, not just produce, but products that they can enjoy and certainly that are wholesome. I was thinking to myself, I remember a couple of years ago in the BRAC, Minister Juliana donned me with a big thatch basket with my name engraved, or should I say, how do you do that? Not crochet, but something similar to that.
No, it's almost like a raffia embroidery that they do it too.
Yeah, that's Greek to me, but anyway, with my name on it, and I was smiling because I really haven't used it because it looks so pretty. I haven't used it around the back of my farm.
Get destroyed.
And my grandchildren sitting it all the time when they come and go in the playroom. So I have to keep it clean for them. But nevertheless, the baskets were good in those days. And I say that because there will be a fair amount of cottage industry stuff that people will be selling on show day on Wednesday. And a lot of people will find very nice mementos and workable stuff to be able to buy. So I think we're going to have a wonderful day. Now, what was the name of that thing recently? Kaboo?
Kaboo.
The media was pumping that was the largest crowd ever gathered at one venue at one time in the Cayman Islands. Now, that was over 2 nights on a weekend. And I really don't think that the people of the Cayman Islands can allow that to be number one and take over from the crowds at the Agriculture Show.
Yes.
So if anyone is suspicious that they may have overtaken the attendance at an Agriculture Show, we need to show them this year exactly what it means, meaning what the Agriculture Show means to the people of the Cayman Islands. So we need them out in throngs to make sure we have a really, really good show. And the vendors, the farmers, they are going to do their very best to bring the best produce and products to the show, and the spectacles as you know, they'll have the various animals and the judging of those competitions and all the likes. So I really hope that people will continue, because it's been wonderful support over the years, to support the show and to support farming in the Cayman Islands. And we're looking good, actually, I think. And people need to buy the tickets also so that the society can flourish.
Yes. Now, I know that as the years, and this is the 52nd one, so you've learned over the years. And one of the observations that I'm able to make is that the agriculture department itself has been every year more and more prepared when it comes to having ample supply of those items that they know that are going to be in demand. For instance, pepper trees, because you know pepper trees are only going to last so long, and then you have to replenish them. Pepper trees, fruit trees, and they do such an excellent job in terms of ensuring that there is ample supply, because there were years when before the show opened, some things were sold out. So what can we attribute that to, Minister?
Well, they've been working assiduously for the past several months to make sure that their supply meets the demand that the Caymanian population, residents alike, have come to expect. For some reason, the seasoned pepper has not done that well this year. So if anything, and I'm hoping not, but there's a distinct possibility that we may not have enough of those. So come early, as Katie said, and do your purchases early. And if there's not enough, the department is still working to ensure that throughout the year there'll be an ample supply, because it's the sales of the plants continue throughout the year, but the emphasis is on Agriculture Day. And we're also, like I said, we haven't left out the Sister Islands, because we've already sent up a container in preparation for the March 23rd and the Little Cayman on April 27th.
Okay. Now, Mr. Tibbetts, you spoke about ample park and everything. We know those persons going to and from the show will experience some traffic inconveniences to a certain extent. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service and their auxiliaries have done an excellent job in terms of the Agricola Drive and the other entrance.
Just down the road. That's good enough. Yes. I can't remember the name of the road either.
Right? That they've done an excellent job in ensuring that traffic flows as smoothly as possible. Again, some of the obstacles that we've overcome over the years as well. You'd like to speak to that?
Yeah, certainly. And what has happened outside of the government properties that are adjacent to the actual showgrounds, which are used for parking, private individuals whose lands have not been developed have been kind enough to agree to allow the society to clear the land, use it for the day, and return it to its original state. And I want to say, without calling names, I want to say a special thank you to all of those who over the years continue to assist in that regard. But this year, the society has been able to increase the parking, which is, again, over and above last year, which is in proximity to the showgrounds itself. Because the truth of the matter is, while there is what we call off-site parking, even in Georgetown here, it's an inconvenient situation. It's just that you can't do any better. But if we noticed even last year, the volunteers, you name them, the RCIP and their auxiliary units, and then we also had the cadets and pathfinders and various other groups assisting. I think the scouts also assist.
Yes.
There are some 400 volunteers behind the scenes, some with uniform, some without uniform, who make all of those things possible and make the logistics work. I was saying that those of us who attended the show last year will remember that there was not any severe gridlock. You had traffic moving slowly at times, but you never found or encountered a situation where the traffic was dead stop and not going anywhere, which is what used to happen in the past. So there is great improvement there. And I look forward downline to the utilization of other property which the government owns and which was purchased for the purpose of utilizing it for some of it anyway for whenever there's a show. So I think we'll be in good shape. Mm-hmm. The other one thing that I wanted to mention is when the official opening is completed, in the arena we're going to have demonstrations which feature the equestrian center. That's what my grandchildren love to look forward to, the horses. And there will also be show from the Cowboy Town stables, the Cayman Border Protection Canine team with the dogs, and also local canine demonstrations and many more. So they're going to have a local flavor, but there'll always be that discipline of the various activities which show what people can do.
Okay, we have one caller. Let's see if we can accommodate that caller before we close off the show. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, morning, OC. Morning, Juliana. Morning, Mr. Kurt.
Good morning, Elvis.
I'm from the Bronx calling here. I just came off the bluff up there. It's beautiful. I got a pear tree that I only bought 3 years ago, and they blossom and got young pears and things on it, which is make me feel good. But
that's amazing.
I got something. Julia, under you and Kurt, you guys have brought the agriculture a long way. I mean, you guys put into it. But right now, in Kimmenbrook, when you were minister before, you really worked Kimmenbrook hard. And you got Kimmenbrook up to a standard like I have never seen it. That's what got me encouraged, because I always used to plant that one thing from Georgetown, right? But we need...
In from Mayor Street?
On Mayor Street.
Okay.
All right. We had an agronomist here, Miss Claudette, and that woman encouraged, she had everybody, let's plant something. But for what reason, I know the reason, but I'm not going to know the radio because I need to set this up. The woman was pushed out of Kimmenbrook, and now we have nobody like that to deal with. When Miss Claudette was up here, I'm a Julie, you know this, the agriculture time is, we had pepper trees that this woman had them ready for the show. Now we got to bring them from Grand Cayman. Something is wrong. It's slipping. Why is it slipping up here again? The funds are there. I know the funds are there. Because we just been in a nice, beautiful warehouse and office. But the management up here is not working out. We need somebody that is dealing with agriculture, the plants. We need somebody on the side. And another thing.
Very quick call up, because we want to give them an opportunity to respond to you before we close.
I'm finishing up now. I said last year I won 17 outstanding for cassava and all that, and they didn't even invite me to the presentation. Like they forgot me. But I can tell you something, Ms. Julia and Mr. Cook and the Cayman Islands. Anytime you see that you have the agriculture committee and none of the members on that committee even got a little pepper tree in the yard, we are on the losing side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller. Minister?
Thanks, Elvis. I am cognizant of the remarks that you made, but rather than to justify or not justify, what I'd like to deal with is the good news in that, yeah, we do miss Claudette, but she's also serving a very important role here, and she does visit us on Island. But I've asked for this upcoming budget to put in for another extension officer to fill the capacity that she filled in Kimmenbrook. So I'm optimistic that my colleagues will give the full support in the upcoming budget that we can put that post in place. And I've also asked the Department of Ministry to look at the agriculture department in the BRAC, because it's growing. We pushed both Katie and myself to grow what you eat and eat what you grow in backyard farming, and sometimes I joke and say that they actually took it literally, in that not only are they doing backyard farming but front yard and side yard as well. So we need to up it a bit, and obviously I'm not responsible under Section 5 of the Constitution of hiring, but I do make recommendation. As a farmer myself, I see that there are some lacunas, and I'm confident that the Department of Ministry will address it anon. Secondly, I would like to congratulate the department for moving ahead swiftly to get the storeroom built on the bluff, which will be a new addition. But certainly not having Claudette there is a tremendous loss as far as that spontaneous response to the demand of the farmers there. But the Agriculture Department has done their very best to make sure that she gets there as often as possible.
Thank you very much for that, Minister. Mr. Tibbetts, any final comments to remind people before we close off?
Show starts at 7:30 on Wednesday morning. Don't stay out too late Tuesday night. Make sure you can get up early in the morning. Those of you with families, bring everyone, dogs and everybody. They're all welcome.
Okay.
So make sure you come out and have a good time. Yes. And the camaraderie that you spoke about earlier on, Orrett, that's the best in the world.
It is. Yeah. It is. Well, we know that we have, this is a little bit of trivia here, not trivia to the extent that it's historical trivia. We now have our Miss Cayman Miss Universe contest, but in 1966, combined with the agriculture show, we also had the baby contest, and we also had the beauty contest as well. And in 1966, Carol Arch, she was the winner. Sharon Parsons was the first runner-up, and Eileen Marin was the second runner-up in 1966. Yes, Carol Pardo.
Thank you.
Yes. And some notable names as far as the babies are concerned as well. I see the former minister, Wayne Panton, mentioned one, and Mr. Tommy Ebanks won, in the baby contest as well.
You didn't enter anyone? There
was a year that Bandy entered. We keep teasing Bandy about that. He said he had a little bow in his
Oh,
in
my
hair.
Lord, I would have wished to be there. That is wonderful, though.
Well, I want to wish you all the best for the agriculture show. I know it will be greatly subscribed to as well. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back. Our next guest, we will be talking about the Youth Parliament that will be taking place here in the Cayman Islands as well. So please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Thinking of doing more to show your sweetheart you really care? Explore new roads together with the 2019 RAV4, Vamped Motors' #1 selling SUV. Save $2,000 off all 2019 RAV4s loaded with features you both will fall in love with, like maximum comfort and cargo space inside, eco mode for low fuel consumption, an audio system with USB and Bluetooth connectivity, vehicle stability and traction control to help you navigate wet roads, and advanced safety features to keep you and your loved ones safe. Do more for your sweetheart and save $2,000 now on the all-new 2019 RAV4 from Vamped Motors, Walkers Road.
Rotary Central Cayman is proud to have been part of the Valentine's Day program Rotary Has Heart. This February 2019, providing invaluable resources, food vouchers worth CI $5,000 made available to Bridge Foundation and Hope for Today, 2 community partners with heart. Rotary Central Cayman, part of the Rotary District 7020 Zone 34, a fellowship of 83 clubs spread over 10 countries covering 16 islands in the Northwest Caribbean. Rotary Has Heart, another inspiration program through Rotary Central.
Did you know your home is wasting electricity right now? Appliances or electronic devices can use electricity even when they are not in use or switched off. Also known as energy vampires, things like your cable box and microwave are wasting your valuable money. Don't let these devices keep sucking your power. To save money, simply group these devices together on a power strip and turn off the strip when it's not in use. Visit the Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure's Facebook page for more tips on keeping your home energy efficient. Be an energy advocate.
If you would like to have clear and healthy skin, then ask the pharmacist at Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor about Proactive and X-Out skincare products. Get your best blemish-free skin ever with dermatologist-developed Proactive. X-Out is a revolutionary doctor-developed acne treatment designed just for teens. This one-step face cleanser works 3 ways to clear up acne. Ask the pharmacist at Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor for advice on Proactive and X-Out. Get the skin you've always wanted. Healthcare Pharmacy, Grand Harbor.
Did you know that recycling collection containers are located island-wide on Grand Cayman? The Department of Environmental Health's program is an integral part of DEH's waste management responsibility in the Cayman Islands. Start your recycling program at home today. Put your type 1 and 2 plastics in appropriate DEH recycling containers at all Foster's supermarkets, Kirk Market, or Hurley's Grand Harbor. Please keep the Cayman Islands clean, reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about recycling, go to www.deh.gov.ky.
Hello, I am Noel March, a small business owner in Georgetown for over 20 years. Small businesses depend on government to develop a quality infrastructure and environment that encourages entrepreneurs to create and grow local businesses, resulting in the creation of jobs and prosperity for Caymanians. Small businesses help drive our economy. Just as we have supported building the new airport, we must support the building of the new cargo and cruise port. It will give our tourism industry the opportunity to grow and Caymanian entrepreneurs the chance to shine. Support the port. Support our tourism.
Spend a day at Grand Cayman's biggest one-day family fun day, the 52nd Annual Agriculture Show at the Stacey Watler Agriculture Pavilion in Lower Valley, coming March 6th. Raffle tickets are now on sale, and for only $25, you can win $20,000 and so many other prizes, including a garden package, iPhone, and staycation. Raffle tickets include general admission to the show. For more information, visit them on Facebook or caymanagriculture.ky.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the Record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. That was an exciting segment of the show. We have an even more exciting one this morning because we'll be talking about our youth here in the Cayman Islands. Now, some people refer, when they're talking about youth, they say the youth. It is almost making them as inanimate objects when they say the youth. We want to talk about our youth in the Cayman Islands, not the youth, but our youth. And so we will be talking about the Youth Parliament here in the Cayman Islands, the 12th Youth Parliament to be held in the Cayman Islands. And here to tell us about that youth conference, parliament here in the Cayman Islands, we have MLA, Miss Barbara Connolly. She is also the chairperson. She's councillor as well, councillor and MLA, I should say. And she's also the chairperson for the Youth Parliament Organising Committee here in the Cayman Islands. And we also have with us Kayla Turner, who's the deputy leader of the opposition in the Youth Parliament. And also we have with us Caroline Reyes, who is the premier for the Youth Parliament here in the Cayman Islands. I'm going to pass the mic over to MLA, Miss Barbara Connolly, to tell us about the Youth Parliament and also to give us a little bit more in terms of the bios, or we can have them give themselves of, our two members of the Youth Parliament who are here with us this morning. Ms. Connolly.
Thank you, OC, and good morning to you and to our listening public.
Yes.
It's good to be here today as the chairperson of the organising committee of the 12th Youth Parliament. I will ask each of the youth parliamentarians here today to introduce themselves and the role that they will play in Youth Parliament, after which I will provide some brief opening remarks, and then the students will speak to their motions and answer questions from you and the listening public.
Certainly.
So, students, there you go.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Caroline Reyes. I attended John Gray High School, and I'll be playing the premier of this 12th Annual Youth Parliament.
Okay.
My name is Kayla Turner. I go to St. Ignatius, and I'll be representing Youth Parliament as the Deputy Leader of Opposition.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Monday, March the 11th, is Commonwealth Day 2019, and in order to observe this day, the Cayman Islands branch of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, CPA, are again hosting Youth Parliament in the chamber of the Legislative Assembly, commencing at 10:30 a.m. The theme for this year's Commonwealth Day is a connected Commonwealth. The Youth Parliament is conducted in the same manner as our Parliament, with each student playing a specific role as Speaker, Clerk, Sergeant at Arms, Premier, Leader of the Opposition and members. The students have chosen their roles in the Youth Parliament, including whether to serve on the government or opposition benches. They chose who will be the Premier and who will be the Leader of the Opposition, along with the various ministerial roles, and the Attorney General and Deputy Governor. So, OC, I will now allow the youth parliamentarians to answer questions from you and the listening public.
Okay. First, we would want to know what... There's a private member's motion that will be debated in the Youth Parliament. Can we talk about the genesis of that private member's motion, how it was decided, which motion would be accepted?
This motion is asking the government to implement a juvenile detention and youth rehabilitation center. We came up with this idea because we thought that there's not a program that properly deals with youth who need to be rehabilitated, and it's important to preserve the mental health of the youth because they're our future here in the Cayman Islands.
Okay. Now, Ms. Barbara, the Youth Parliament, you have, there will be something like 27 students from public and government schools that will be participating in this. Will these be new students, or some students would have participated in the past?
Well, see, we have some new students, but some of them actually attended last year's Youth Parliament. So we have a mix of new students and returning students from last year. We actually, the students, out of the 27 students, we have the following schools that are participating: John Gray High School, Clifton Hunter, Cayman Prep, Hope Academy, St. Ignatius, Cayman International School, Lehman Scott High School, Triple C School, Wesleyan High School, and UCCI. So we have a really good mix of students that are participating this year in this debate.
Okay, I'm going to ask the two representatives who are here. Before participating in this youth parliament, how much did you know about our legislative assembly here in the Cayman Islands, either through your own knowledge or through programs that you may have in school, be it civics or whatever? How much have you learned?
Well, this is my second year doing youth parliament, but prior to my first parliament, I learned about the Legislative Assembly through social studies because I'm very interested in politics and so on and stuff in that criteria. I learned about how much members are in the House, how much members sit on the government and opposition. I learned roles of the Premier and how to form or draft a bill. And that's what I knew prior to my knowledge of.
You sound like you're in line to be a future politician. And Ms. Turner?
We also did some things about the Legislative Assembly in school, but I feel like going to Youth Parliament better developed my understanding of how it works and like how a bill is passed and how you would speak in the chamber.
Excellent, excellent.
We actually had the Honourable Sam Bulgin that actually came and just went through the various steps of how a bill is done. So they got a full about 30-40 minutes of the actual steps on how you create a bill and what obtains in a bill.
Okay. And in preparing for this debate and this youth parliament, how much assistance did you receive from other current or former members of the Legislative Assembly, and how valuable did you find that assistance?
Well, first of all, I would like to say thank you to YP chairperson. She's been a lot of help to the government, and I would like to say opposition too. She's personally helped us on our speech, read it over, and a little advice. I would like to thank the clerk and deputy clerk of the Legislative Assembly, Miss Deborah and Ms. Zina. They have helped us both a lot with our speeches and developing our speeches and bringing in resources such as Alfred, Paul Linda, just to name a few, that are correctional counselors and director of Department of Children and Family Services. And they have helped us, giving us information to develop our speeches that is very valuable, and I would like to thank them.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation will continue about the Youth Parliament with MLA and Councillor Miss Barbara Connolly, Miss Kayla Turner, who's the Deputy Leader of the Opposition in the Youth Parliament, and Miss, how do you pronounce that again? Carolyn Reyes, who's the Premier in the Youth Parliament as well. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
We are Radio Cayman, and this is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time. Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Open the eyes of my heart, open the eyes of my heart. I'm gonna walk them golden stairs, 'cause I know my Jesus answers all my prayers.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, for the God of the mountain is still God in the valley.
Shout with joy to God, all the earth sing glory to His name. Praise time. Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Country classics.
Well, I was born to coal miner's daughter.
On the road again. They're gonna put me in the movies.
Papa Top again.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso. Because you're mine, I walk the line. Well, I love the name.
Country classics.
Young love, first love. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table.
If you enjoy classic country music, come hang out with Radio Cayman this Saturday, 3:30 to 6 p.m.
In the Mississippi cotton picking Delta town.
This Saturday afternoon, following American Country Countdown, 3:30 to 6 on Radio Cayman.
Just walk on by. Wait on the corner.
Country classics.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're discussing the 12th Youth Parliament here in the Cayman Islands. That discussion has taken place with MLA and Councillor Miss Barbara Connolly, who is also the chairperson of the Youth Parliament Organising Committee. We also have with us Miss, I'm going to say the most difficult one first, Carolyn Reyes, who's the Premier in the Youth Parliament, and also with us Kayla Turner, who's the Deputy Leader of the Opposition in the 12th Youth Parliament here in the Cayman Islands. And again, we're going to concentrate more on our two young parliamentarians here today and the specific roles that you will be playing in the Youth Parliament. Why did you choose those roles, if you chose them yourself or if they were chosen for you, and in those roles, exactly what will you be doing?
Well, as you all know, I am the Premier of the Youth Parliament. I chose to be Premier, but then my other members of the government voted on it, and I gladly obtained the position of Premier. As a Premier, I believe that I should be a powerful leader with the help of my members of the government, and we will all work together as a team to bring forward these debates and these speeches in the Legislative Assembly on March 11th. And we will work together as a family, as a government, to make the public hear our speeches and be aware of what's going on, like the bill that we're bringing forward, a regulation of plastic bags in the Cayman Islands. As Premier, I will be helping my other members to develop their speech, make sure we're all on task and that we are working functionally and that we're all satisfied in our work.
Okay, Ms. Turner?
I'm the Deputy Leader of the Opposition. I think that the opposition is an important part of the Legislative Assembly because without the opposition, the government wouldn't be able to consider all the viewpoints, and that can express different opinions from the public for them to consider. As the Deputy Leader of the Opposition, it's my role to help support the leader, and if they're not present, I have to take charge of organizing the opposition and make sure that we're all working together as a team.
Okay, now the topics that you chose for this youth parliament, can we talk about that a little bit? And we'll start with you again, Ms. Turner.
We chose a motion to implement a juvenile detention and youth rehabilitation center. We chose this because the youth are our future, and we don't think that there's currently a program to deal with at-risk youth. So we wanted to express to the public the need for a rehabilitation center to help those youth improve their standard of living and become fully functional members of society.
Okay, and how does your group feel about the fact that in the past there were situations in the Cayman Islands where young offenders, because of the lack of facilities, were actually housed with adult offenders, which made it extremely uncomfortable and probably violated their human rights as well? How do you feel about that?
We feel that this is a big issue and this needs to desperately be resolved. And so we would like there to be a proper center so that they can be separated from the adult offenders and they can be as comfortable as possible so they have the best chance of rehabilitation.
Okay, Ms. Reyes?
Well, the government chose a bill asking for a ban on plastic bags in the Cayman Islands. We chose this topic because, as we all know, plastics is a big social issue. It's happening all around the world where you have plastic pollution in the seas. It is also affecting our marine life, which impacts our tourism, and tourism is our second pillar of this economy. So we believe that if we regulate the plastics, it would have a big impact on the Cayman Islands, and we would also motivate other fellow countries to do the same. As we know, we want to have a clear and healthy environment for our future and our youth here, and we also want to have a big impact on our health, the environment, tourism, and other factors involved.
Now, we all know that in my day and Miss Barbara's day in school, a lot of the research that we did, we had to rely solely on books. We didn't have the internet where you could do research and everything. If we wanted to look at debates, previous debates in the Legislative Assembly, we would have to go and physically get the Hansards to look at them. Tell us and our listening and viewing audience about some of the tools, some of the resources that both groups have used to do their your research.
Well, the government has human resources also, as Ms. Claire Hugh, which is the director of Plastic Free Cayman. She came in to speak to us about the impacts of plastic on a person's health, the environment, and other factors. She played a big role because she gave us very valuable information. We also got resources off of the internet that helped us with why plastic is such a big impact and how it affects our health and so on.
Okay, Ms. Turner?
We also had some human resources to come in, such as Mr. Sidney Williams of the Bonaventure Boys Home, to talk to us about the current state of where the youth are sent to today who are at risk. We also had some research from articles about past programs that the government has tried to put into the public for the youth, and those helped a lot to give us ideas for emotion.
Okay. Now, your experience as youth parliamentarians, how has that framed and developed your view of politics, and in particular politics in the Cayman Islands? We constantly hear people say, oh, we wish that members of the Legislative Assembly could get along better, that the debates shouldn't be as harsh and acrimonious as they are. What has your experience in the Youth Parliament taught you about politics in the Cayman Islands?
Well, I think that the public thinks that the MLAs just sit in the house and argue and debate. But when I actually went into it, I learned more that it's actually more work, it's more time. You have to manage your time. You have to know what you're talking about, the logistics and everything. And I feel like they do play an important role in the Cayman Islands and the development of the Cayman Islands, and they're very important people. We as the people of the Cayman Islands have chosen them to be in that Legislative Assembly for a reason. We think that they're valuable people of this community, and I feel that they do a lot of good work for the development of our youth and our adults and the coming future.
Okay, Ms. Turner?
I feel like I learned that a lot of the public, including me before I went to this, thought that there were a lot of issues that the government should just deal with, but it's not as easy to say, let's make this bill and pass the bill. There's a lot of debate that has to go on. You have to consider different viewpoints. You have to consider the costs and funding and how this would impact the public in the future as well. And
from a personal standpoint, between you and your adversaries on the other side of the debate, at the end of the day, how do you end up, in terms of being friends? And can our members of the Legislative Assembly learn something from our youth parliamentarians?
Well, I feel that we both play an important role in each other's debates and things, because we also have to take the perspective of...
Come a little closer to the mic, please.
Because we also have to take the perspective of the other side, or what the public is thinking. I think that at the end of the day, we're all like a family, and we're there to keep each other in check, to uplift each other. Because I will go in there not knowing something, and the opposition might change my views, and they will have a big impact on how I'm thinking and the future decision. So I think they play a very big impact.
Ms. Turner?
I think at the end of the day, we're all working towards the same goal for a better future for Cayman. And I think that if we consider each other's viewpoints, it can help us see the different opinions and consider things we might not have known before. And I think in the end, we all want what's better for Cayman, so we're all on the same side, really.
Okay. With those words, Ms. Barber, I'll give you the closing comments for this morning, and any reminders in terms of the public who can attend, time, venue.
Thank you, O.C. At the conclusion of the debate on Monday, a week from today, the students will be privileged to a reception hosted by His Excellency Mr. Martin Roper at the Government House, where they will receive certificates and plaques. Some of the students will also be given an opportunity to represent the Cayman Islands branch at the Regional CPA Conference in Trinidad later this year. I would like to thank our sponsor, the law firm of Harney's, through the assistance of Mr. Nick Hoffman, for coming on board again this year as our major sponsor. And I would like to appeal to everyone, all the public, to a warm invitation to attend this very important debate, parliamentary debate, youth parliament debate next Monday. And it starts at 10:30 a.m. at the Legislative Assembly. So I know that the students would be very excited to have all of our former parliamentarians or current MLAs and the public on the whole attend and see what they can learn from the Youth Parliament.
Okay, I want to wish you all the best. Folks, we're going to go to our headline news at 9 o'clock. When we return, we will be talking about honoring Women Month in the Cayman Islands. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
Cayman Airways kicks off twice-weekly service to Denver on Saturday morning with a full flight. CAL's CEO says the flight wouldn't have been possible without the recent acquisition of a 737 MAX 8 aircraft. Cayman Airways is expecting another MAX 8 aircraft soon. They're looking at Los Angeles as the next new gateway. At least 23 people have been killed as tornadoes struck Lee County in eastern Alabama. The county sheriff said there has been, quote, catastrophic damage, and there were fears more bodies could be found. Dozens are thought to have been hurt. Rescue efforts have been halted until dawn due to the danger of searching in the dark. The National Weather Service made a classification of at least EF3, meaning winds of up to 165 miles per hour. And two sisters who wandered away from home and got lost in woodlands for 2 days have been found safe and well. The 8- and 5-year-old girls from North California spent 44 hours in a cold and rainy forest. They were found huddled under a bush, having survived drinking water from huckleberry leaves and eating cereal bars they brought with them. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning, and welcome back to For the Record. Very busy in the studio this morning. We're accommodating as many guests as we possibly can. Of course, the show goes on until 10 o'clock in the morning now instead of 9:30, so that gives us more time to either talk with our guests or to give you open mic, allowing the listening and viewing audience an opportunity to be involved in the conversation as well. We're going to be talking about honoring Women's Month in the Cayman Islands, and we have our two guests. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves. Neither of them are any strangers to Radio Cayman and, of course, to For the Record as well. And we'll start with you, Mr. Andre.
I'm afraid I disagree. Start with the ladies.
Oh, well, thank you, Andre. My name is Charmaine Miller, and I am the program coordinator at the Family Resource Center, which is a part of the Department of Counseling Services.
Okay. Mr. Andre.
Andre Banks, Deputy Chief Officer, Ministry of Community Affairs.
Okay. Ms. Charmaine, tell us about honoring Women's Month.
Sure. So this year is extremely exciting for us. We are celebrating our 20th anniversary of honoring Women's Month in the Cayman Islands. Back in 1999, the governor who was in place really recognized the importance of celebrating women's achievements, and so we really kept up that tradition over the years and honored the achievements that we've accomplished locally as well as globally, and at the same time recognize the challenges that women experience when it comes to gender-related issues. So over the course of the month, in honor of our 20th anniversary, we have put together 20 events. So it's a jam-packed calendar of events throughout the month of March. And the idea is pretty much to raise awareness around some issues that we experience, as well as empowering women. So yesterday actually marked the launch of Honoring Women Month through our annual church service. And we're really grateful to have that hosted at the St. George's Anglican Church. It was a great opportunity to join in fellowship with their congregation. And so thank you to Reverend Graham, who joined us, who had us there yesterday. The theme for this month overall, though, just to put some focus on that, is #BalanceForBetter. And the theme is quite exciting to us. Over the course of, I think, 3 years, we've kept the hashtag aspect of these themes, and obviously in line with living in such a technological world, of course. And so the theme is all about, it's a call to action for driving gender balance throughout our world, right? So whether it is recognizing that we all have an important role to play in our community, in our government, in boardrooms. And so it's all about recognizing the role that we play and doing the things that we can do to drive gender balance in our society.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about that theme, balance for better. Challenges, some of the challenges that women face here in the Cayman Islands, some of the challenges that women face globally, and efforts that are being made to overcome those challenges.
You're making her roll up her sleeves.
I saw that. Getting ready for battle.
Yeah. I mean, definitely there are challenges across the board. At least I can speak from an FRC perspective when it comes to the role that we play within our government is more so of an intervention and preventative approach, right? So obviously domestic violence, sexual assault, sexual harassment, those are all issues that we interface with our clientele. And so they come to us from a place of obviously already struggling as victims themselves. So a lot of the work that we do is very much empowerment focused, right? And recognizing that while this is an issue in our community, there is work to do to start educating our frontline professionals in our community as a whole to strip away from a lot of the gender biases and stereotypes that we have of what our women should be, whether they should be more, being more submissive, being more compliant and whatnot. And a lot of those behaviors and belief system tend to drive a society in which we are, we're oppressing our women and we're not giving them the rights that they deserve as women. So whenever I talk about gender related issues, it is a human right issue. It's not this conversation that is just a women's issue. It's a human right issue, and creating a world where we're more inclusive of diversity, we're more inclusive of one another despite our gender, makes the world a better place, really and truly. And that's why it's so important to bring our male counterparts like Andre to be a part of this conversation and not have it be something that is only focused on women, women driving this conversation, but most importantly having our male counterparts joining the forces and being allies with us.
Okay, and speaking of Mr. Ebanks, not only having him here as a male counterpart in this venture, but also the fact that the ministry itself, the ministry of which you're the Deputy Chief Officer, has also contributed not only in terms of others in other supporting endeavors, but also from a financial standpoint. Can we talk a little bit about that, Mr. Banks?
I think we should. And this is probably a good example of government working cross ministries. Because the Families Resource Center on the organizational chart does not fall under the purview of the Ministry of Community Affairs, Ministry of Health. And Charmaine came together with us because the Gender Affairs Unit falls under the purview of this ministry. So there was a natural synergy. When we looked at it and thought, this is 20 years. When you go back and you think about how much has happened in 20 years, it was a no-brainer to support this from the outset. It was just a question of how much can we do and how can we support, not just, and I also didn't want to just arrange for myself and the chief officer to just sign a check and then walk away. It's also participating in the events, getting immersed in the subject as we do from a gender affairs unit. So there's a natural synergy and partnership there, which I think this event and plan this month will hopefully strengthen that bond.
Definitely.
Now, in terms of the theme of better balance, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I would hope in 2019 most folks would have accepted female rights as just a basic fundamental right as a given. But unfortunately, that may not always be the case. And even for those who have at least accepted the fundamental human right, we also need to just talk about just day-to-day things that most folks might not contemplate. So, for example, I know of accounting firms and law firms now, because women tend to be the primary caregivers of children, have now established flexible hours for women who reach the level of near partner level, so that they can work at home and achieve that balance of child rearing and not being in the office with male counterparts who might not necessarily have those sort of constraints. So from my perspective, it's a whole range of things. It's not just legislation. It's also trying to drive policies at sort of a grassroots level to think of the little things that you can do of how you can achieve better balance.
Switch gears a little bit and talk about the Me Too movement. And where is it? Where is it in the Cayman Islands? Have we reached that stage? We know that the whole culture in the Cayman Islands, in some instances, follows that of the Caribbean in general. Where have we reached, either in Cayman or in the Caribbean, as far as the Me Too movement is concerned?
Well, I mean, there's a Me Too movement. There's a hashtag Here Me Too movement, which we obviously endorsed last year too. But it's about awareness at the end of the day, right? And the Me Too movement is about creating more awareness and empowering women who, obviously in the U.S., depending on their spheres of influence and where they work, they were obviously feeling, oppressed, right, because of their gender. But for us here, it's about creating awareness and recognizing that as women, we too obviously have an opportunity to voice our concerns, to voice areas in which we're feeling oppressed, and recognizing that should not be at a disadvantage of our, success, right? And so I think throughout this month, we're not only focusing on empowering our women too, but feeling comfortable with being empowered, right? I think that's really important. Oftentimes, I was having this conversation with my team yesterday. We're uncomfortable as women with being empowered, right? Because it may be recognized amongst our male counterparts or others as, we're being too much, right? We're being too loud. We're being too, we're pressing or pushing our own personal belief system of how things should be. But it's not really the case. It's about feeling comfortable with being empowered so that we can be at the same level as our male counterparts or as anybody, whether it is in the boardroom, within our government system, within our workplace, to be in a position for success and having equal opportunities. So I think as women, we have to be more comfortable with wanting more, and being okay with showing who we are as long as it's not oppressing others in the process.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break, but I want to prep you for when we return. We want to talk a little bit about women in the Cayman Islands, the prominent positions that many women hold in the Cayman Islands, either in government or in the private sector. I think when you look at the Cayman Islands, many jurisdictions would want to emulate what we have done here in the Cayman Islands. I would say that with the exception of our Legislative Assembly, where there is a greater call for more women's participation in politics and more female representation in our Legislative Assembly. Let's think about that. When we return, we will discuss that on For the Record. Folks, please stay tuned. For the Record, we'll be back shortly.
Thinking of doing more to show your sweetheart you really care? Explore new roads together with the 2019 RAV4, Vamped Motors' #1 selling SUV. Save $2,000 off all 2019 RAV4s loaded with features you both will fall in love with, like maximum comfort and cargo space inside, eco mode for low fuel consumption, an audio system with USB and Bluetooth connectivity, vehicle stability and traction control to help you navigate wet roads, and advanced safety features to keep you and your loved ones safe. Do more for your sweetheart and save $2,000 now on the all-new 2019 RAV4 from Vamped Motors, Walkers Road.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Hi, I'm Dawn McLean Brady, President of the Cayman Islands Small Business Association, better known as CISPA. Small businesses drive Cayman's economy. As small business owners, we depend on government to create an environment where we, as entrepreneurs, can do what we do best, and that's to provide products and services that are valuable to our customers and, in turn, employ others. The cruise piers and cargo ports provide these opportunities. Encourage our government to build a port and let the Caymanian entrepreneurial spirit shine. Support the port, support our tourism.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're talking about empowering, honoring Women's Month in the Cayman Islands. That conversation is taking place with Mr. Andre Ebanks, who is the Deputy Chief Officer in the Ministry of Community Affairs. And also with us we have Ms. Charmaine Miller, who's the Program Coordinator at the Women's Resource Center.
Oh, no longer Women's Resource Center, but I always like the
family support
the reference. Family Resource Center.
Family Resource Center as well. And we wanted to talk now about women's participation in politics and women who hold prominent positions either in government or in the private sector, and what the numbers look like, and how can we go about improving it as well.
You want to go ahead, Andre?
Sure, I'll start from a civil service standpoint. I mean, I think we have I think we have a lot to be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
I believe right now there's a greater, in terms of numbers, majority female chief officers than male chief officers, and many of them, or most of them, are incredible persons. And I dare say, I haven't checked the numbers, but I dare say it's almost maybe more deputy chief officers or close female than male. And I think that speaks volumes because, say, for example, I don't even think about the fact that I report to a female chief officer. I don't know if that might have been a thing 20 years ago, but for my generation, it wasn't something that even occurred to me to be a factor, or I'll have a female boss. It is just something that I just accept naturally. I hadn't actually thought about it until you posed the question. So I don't know if, Charmaine, that speaks to some level of progress.
Absolutely.
But I think my generation sees it quite differently. If you look around at some of the larger law firms on the island, for a time, Walkers, and I can think of just examples that come to the top of my head, had a female global managing partner, all of Walkers globally, and at the same time, up until last year, had a female Cayman managing partner for the Cayman office itself. I think Maples has just promoted about 6 female partners at the end or middle of last year. So these are huge strides that I think not only speak to where you're coming to as a society, and the key examples, to your point before the break, to other jurisdictions, but also the power that holds for a young female to say, I can do that. I can make it to that position. If they're looking at ministers like, say, Minister O'Connell Connolly, Minister Rivers, Councillor Barbara Connolly, to think, okay, I can do that one day.
Right.
It would be no different than, say, the equation, the analogy that I have as someone when I was younger looking up of someone of my complexion, a Caymanian who can actually do this job.
Right.
So the impact that can have on the youth, I don't know if can really be measured. Now, in terms of, Charmaine and I have to be careful here because we're civil servants before you drag us into
we
politics.
Won't let you go over the. We won't let you go over the edge.
I can't. Yeah, keep me from going over the edge. But I just say, for broader strokes, yes. If you look at even though we have some strong female legislators, there isn't a gender balance per se in the LA. Now, from just speaking to friends of mine who I know are female who are interested in politics, they'll just say to me, Andre, like I just can't do it. I want to do it. The job itself would be attractive to me, but I'm here. I'm middle-aged. I have kids. I have a husband who works full time. What would happen to the kids in that time span? I don't have a husband who's not going to take a break from his career to help support me as a legislator. Unlike your friends that are chief officers, they have at least some greater degree of privacy than I have as a legislator. I don't think they ever switch off. If they're in office and they're a minister or they're with the government, they have a day job plus their job as a legislator. If you're in opposition, you're fielding constituency issues. You're trying to keep up with the government of the day. That is really difficult for me to keep up with. I'd like to get involved, but I just don't know how I'm able to do that. So it's a tricky thing, I think, for some of the folks that are just friends of mine who just share behind closed doors and informally that they do have aspirations, but they're just not sure they have the same support system as men.
Mm-hmm. Quite interesting.
It is. It's quite validating. No, yeah, it's definitely interesting, and not only at that level, obviously, those are high government positions, but also at whether it is a management level, right? Whether you're running in the private sector or public sector, but taking on more leadership positions requires more flexible working hours. It requires more family support, and sometimes whether you are a single mother or a single father, those are not available for you, which then compromise your opportunity to go up the ranks, right, in your organization. So I think as a whole, while we look at, for us as managers within our own businesses, the opportunity to create more flexible hours, the opportunity to look beyond the employee just as an employee who's working for you, and bettering your organization, but looking at it, how can we better the society as a whole, right? I know we talk about being more flexible to our mothers, our women, whether it is with working hours or maternity leave, but fathers play an important role, right? And oftentimes within our field, especially for us when we're developing programs, our men are not the first to come to access services at FRC, right? We have a small group of men that generally access our programs, whether it is parenting programs, whether it is counseling support, and more, right? So it's really important to start recognizing and honoring, I know we're honoring women today, but honoring the important role that men play in our society also, and giving them equal opportunities to be able to take more time also so that they can bond with their babies, right? Because that really and truly creates, it's better for the quality of life, right? For the entire family, for the entire community. There's a strong link in research that speaks to, father involvement. And when that is absent, how your child is at greater risk, to engage in delinquency behaviors and just going down the wrong path, right? So it's really important to also pay attention to that and to recognize that it is about creating an equal playing field across the board.
Okay. Can we talk some more now about the whole month's activities and what we will be seeing and what the public can participate in during this month?
So I'll make reference to the first one just to bridge what Andre spoke about in terms of women. We have our Honoring Women Luncheon, which is taking place at the Kimpton. It is a sold-out event. Wow. Thank you so much to our community, to our supporters who, pretty much, the event was sold out in about a day. So we're really excited about that. The objective, when we were envisioning what the event would look like, is really and truly to create more opportunities for women to feel empowered by women who have already been successful, right? Our local women in different in different areas, whether they are in in the area of STEM, whether they're in the field of finance, whether they are entrepreneurs, but actually putting them at a platform level so that they can inspire and we can also celebrate their successes, while also recognizing that there might be a young woman, in that luncheon that will be inspired by that, right? In the same way that Andre felt inspired when he was younger, right? But might be inspired and be motivated with the various steps that some of these women did take, and the sacrifices or barriers that they did overcome to put them in that position. So we're very pleased to have the support of our Chief Officer, Miss Gloria McField. She'll be our keynote speaker. So we're very excited to have her on board. We also have Andre, who will be the only male amongst many females.
How lucky can you get?
Well, he'll stand out. He'll stand out, and that's good. That's okay, right? So Andre will be joining us and providing his perspective from a gender affairs perspective. And so we also have Miss Janet Hislop, who's recently been named the first female president of Cayman National. And so we're really excited to have her.
Shout out.
Yes, definitely. Miss Rathana Young, who's a very successful entrepreneur.
Yes.
She'll be joining the panel discussion. We also have somebody from the legal side, Miss Christina Bodden, and she's been very involved with the Gender Affairs Unit when it comes to policy and providing some advice on that. So we're very excited. We actually just received confirmation from, oh boy, I don't want to mess up her name, but she's the director of the Water Authority.
Wow, you look for that?
I
will.
I just want to. Yes, I just don't want to. Miss Julia Frederick Van Genderen. But she was one of the first female scientists, female scientists here in Cayman.
Yes,
so we've got just so many talented women on board, and we're really excited about the event.
If I could pause you there.
Yes.
Because Charmaine asked me a serious question about, all right, here are all these heavy hitters. and you're going to be surrounded, Andre. How do you feel about that? And I actually took, this was my honest response to her. I said, I think it's time that men feel that way sometimes of how it is to be surrounded. You're the only person. This isn't the boardroom. This is worse. I mean, this is the Kimpton. 150 people are going to be there. 200. No pressure. Where I am going to be the only male panelist. But until you actually walk in those shoes, you don't understand how it feels. So I welcome it. And I think more men should try to put themselves in those positions because it reshapes your thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a commercial break, folks. Please stay tuned. The conversation with Mr. Andre Ebanks and Ms. Charmaine Miller on empowering, honoring Women's Month here in the Cayman Islands will continue, so please stay tuned. I keep saying
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on ensuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Rotary Central Cayman is proud to have been part of the Valentine's Day program Rotary Has Heart. This February 2019, providing invaluable resources, food vouchers worth CI $5,000 made available to Bridge Foundation and Hope for Today, two community partners with heart. Rotary Central Cayman, part of the Rotary District 7020 Zone 34, a fellowship of 83 clubs spread over 10 countries covering 16 islands in the Northwest Caribbean. Rotary Has Heart, another inspiration program through Rotary Central.
Radio Cayman 11 a.m. News Headlines is brought to you by Savannah Pharmacy.
Savannah Pharmacy, just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
Stay updated with the very latest news from Cayman, the region, and around the world. The 11 o'clock headlines, brought to you by
Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
good morning and welcome back to For the Record. For those of you who don't know it, March is honoring Women's Month here in the Cayman Islands, and we're discussing the month with Mr. Andre Ebanks and Miss Charmaine Miller. Miss Miller spoke about one particular event that will be taking place, but there are still 19 others that will take place during the month. Some prominent, some probably more prominent than others, but all extremely important.
Yes, definitely. I'll just focus on some key ones. Obviously, the 8th of March is International Women's Day. And so we are joining countries across the world on the 8th of March with the premiere of Captain Marvel, which is a highly anticipated movie. Obviously, she was one of the first, of female superheroes. And so we're really excited to have this opportunity. That event is also sold out. Really excited with the support of the community affairs as well as our ministry. They've definitely supported us in order for us to provide these events at very low cost. If not, this wouldn't be an opportunity that would have been extended to the community as a whole. We also have our Color Me Purple 5K walk run, which is our annual run. It is a very exciting run. We actually are going back to the basics. That's where our run started, 15 years ago. And so we're really excited to be able to go back there. Generally, I think over the past 7 years, we've done it at Smith Cove, and this time around, we're doing it at the 7 Mile Beach. Two other events that are really important to focus on is our Women in the Workplace series. We've got 2 of those happening, one on the 22nd of March and the other on the 29th of March. We've partnered with Nova recruitment agency, and so the event on the 22nd of March is titled Women in the Workplace, Make Your Mark. So it's all about, it's meant to be a motivational workshop preparing women on how to make those, first impressions, right? Knowing exactly what the do's and don'ts are and establishing their presence online. That is so important for us. For me as a manager, when it comes to the recruitment process, the fact that we're living in such a technological world, Facebook sometimes is your go-to, right? Because that really and truly gives you an idea of who this individual is. Yes. We've got applications, but who is this person, right? And so knowing how to market yourself online in a way that does not put you in a position where you're objectifying yourself. And so we're just looking at a lot of things like that and empowering our women too, so that they have a strong online profile, right? Our event on the 29th of March is also an empowerment session that's focused on knowing how to create more of a gender equality workplace. Nova has really taken this on, and we're really happy to have them on board. And it's all about knowing how to rise through the ranks within a workplace as a woman. Right, so those are our 4 key events that we're having. Alongside that, we've got our calendar of events, which is accessible on our Facebook page, on our website. You can give us a call at FRC at 949-0006 to learn a lot about the other events that we have in store for you.
And you have a table talk as well?
Yes, the table talk series. There's one here tomorrow, actually, and I've invited several of our partner agencies to join, and it's all about hearing different, a woman's perspective on the various issues that we face. Initially, I talked about domestic violence, and so obviously we have the Cayman Islands Crisis Center. They'll talk a little bit more about what they're seeing in terms of their trends around that much needed, just domestic violence, such a conversation that should be ongoing in our community based on the statistics. We'll also have the Red Cross joining us. They do a lot of great work in the community as well as in the school setting. And Carlene Bramwell from the Gender Affairs Unit will be a part of that conversation. So I've arranged for, different representatives within our country to pretty much give us some more perspective and insight. Okay.
Again, I want to talk a little bit more about the ministry's involvement. I know, we spoke about the financial aspect of it, and you wanted to do more than just simply hand out a check. And obviously, your participation in the what is it called again? At the
Kimpton?
At the Kimpton.
Yeah.
It's our Honoring Women Month luncheon.
The luncheon there as well is again more evidence of your ministry's participation in that. Let's talk a little bit more about the ministry, if you will.
Sure. I think it's important, even though we're looking at this month, it being its 20th anniversary in honoring women, it also, to my mind, lays down a marker of the things we're going to do beyond this month.
Right.
Because this just highlights certain aspects and features. But really the work carries on after this. So come let's see, 1 April, which is April Fool's Day, but come 1 April, the work and the advancement continues to push on. So the work of the ministry really under the Gender Affairs Unit is to look at policy and legislation, work on gender mainstreaming and messaging, and working on gender neutrality. I mean, the sort of events that Charmaine has mentioned in terms of women in the workplace, even just in terms of, as that workshop might discuss in terms of how you might move up the ranks, but also from a male perspective, why is it important for females to move up the ranks? Will an organization make better decisions if it has a better balance? Yes. So, I mean, there's some humorous examples that are well known. The Apple iPhone 6 Plus S, when it came out, it was designed by men. So it was too big for the average hand of a woman and too big for the average pocket size of a woman. And women went all over the place. It was all over CBS. It went viral. That Apple didn't think to a second, hang on a second. Apple, think about that now. Apple did not think for a second, well, how would this fit in the hands of a woman? Were there female designers that could have lent into that discussion and say, hang on, this is slightly big, you might want to make it smaller? So even if you can't get behind as a man just the basic fundamental rights, can you get behind the business imperative that your organization might make better decisions, might be more profitable if you include the other half of the population? So that's what really this is all about in terms of advancing policy, raising awareness, and moving forward pieces of legislation to bring forth that balance.
Yes, okay. There are people who talk about Cayman Islands, where we came from, the contributions, the huge contribution that our seamen made by going to sea, sending their remittances to the Cayman Islands. That started to attract financial institutions in the Cayman Islands because the government savings bank couldn't accommodate all of the influx of money that was coming in. Barclays Bank saw an opportunity, opened a branch here in the Cayman Islands. But there are many people who argue that women in the Cayman Islands are not given as much recognition as they should be given and as much credit because they were the ones who held the families together when the men were out to sea. They had to be both mother and father. Right. Now we have almost identical situations now with single mothers who have to be mothers and fathers as well. Can you speak to that, Ms. Charmaine? You're the expert in this field.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you shared that story. Our Minister Seymour last year, when he was, in one of his speeches, he made reference to that and really and truly acknowledged his mom, for the efforts that she made in raising, her kids. Sorry, got jumbled up there. But obviously, the rate of single parents is on a rise, right? We recognize that. We recognize the impact that it has on children's behaviors when they don't have both male and female role models. But also realize that even though that's a reality, as women, we also have to know, well, if there is a void to be filled, and if it can't be filled, particularly with that biological father or biological parent. I don't want to focus only on the men being, the absentee parent, but recognizing that there are role models, that could potentially fill that role, right? I know that recently I've recognized that, is it Big Brothers and Big Sisters? They're really they have a strong push right now for mentoring, right? Research speaks to the effectiveness of that and the positive impact that it can have on a child's life. So whether it is that, there is a parent that is not present in that child's life, also recognizing the need for looking, within our community, whether it is building a community in which we are supporting one another. We talk a lot about how it takes a village, right? And I truly do believe that it does take a village to raise a child, right? And being more connected, because what we're seeing a lot from a parenting standpoint is that parents are disconnected from their kids, right? And so the first thing that we do at FRC is not only establish, okay, so what are your parenting goals? What are the difficulties that you're having at this moment? But talk about reconnecting with your child, getting to know that child, right? Getting to know the challenges and the barriers that they're facing, and whether it is that they're struggling with not having that male figure in their lives, knowing, okay, well, how can we supplement that? How can we support you differently, right? And so there's sports, there's mentoring, there's a lot of different things that could be done. But of course, we recognize the absence of it, but also knowing, how to support that child through the process. But single parenting, it is an issue, but it's not something that should deter women from reaching their full potential. There's obviously a lot of support needed. There's a lot of flexibility required in the workplace to accommodate those family needs, and I think it's something to consider. When I work with my employees, it's not about looking at them meeting their 7.5 hours a day, but they will have challenges and being more flexible along the way to support them through those needs.
Okay, while you have the mic, I want to give you an opportunity for closing comments as well, and to remind our listeners and our viewers about the month's activities.
Sure. Oh, well, thank you so much to the Ministry of Community Affairs, Gender Affairs Unit, our ministry too, the Ministry of Health, Environment, Culture, and Housing. They've been extremely supportive also. We have a lot of different sponsors that I'd love to thank: VAMP Motors, BAF Insurance, Cayman Nationals, Foster's Water Authority, Chris Global. In order for these events to be successful, they were our Honoring Month sponsors. So I've never wanted to, stray away from developing a calendar of events that was accessible to our community. At the core of everything, that is really important to us. And that's why a lot of our events are free or at very low cost. So thank you so much. Like, Andre said, this partnership that we have should be an example to our government too, and as well as private sectors, on how we can collaborate to ensure that we're meeting the needs of our community. So thank you so much, Andre.
Steve Banks, to you, sir.
Well, I'll say thank you to Charmaine and all the rest of your colleagues at FRC. I think this is hugely important. I think it's amazing the work that you've done to put in to get this to even where it is right now. You still have to get through the events, obviously. Yes. But just the fact that you were able to set this up, I think is hugely important. It's, as I said, the purpose is to really lay down a marker and carry advancement forward. And that's part of the ministry's role. There's the synergistic link between us. The Gender Affairs Unit has a lot on its plate. There are a plethora of issues. We've touched on some of them now. Maybe we can come back at a later date to really get into some of the crux of some of the issues. Because I saw you heard you touch on the Me Too movement. That takes on a whole other complexion from a man's standpoint of view. How do I now have to conduct myself, and how do I now carry myself in the office? It takes on a whole, it makes you stop and gives you pause. And that's what these things are designed to do. So I think kudos to FRC, and let's just continue this collaboration. I've had a wonderful time working with Charmaine, and I look forward to the rest of the month's events.
Okay, I want to wish you all the best for the month's event as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the next 15 minutes. We're going to have our open mic, and if you have nothing to talk about, I will talk more about the agriculture show of 1966 here in the Cayman Islands. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Rotary Central Cayman is proud to have been part of the Valentine's Day program Rotary Has Heart. This February 2019, providing invaluable resources, food vouchers worth CI $5,000 made available to Bridge Foundation and Hope for Today, two community partners with heart. Rotary Central Cayman, part of the Rotary District 7020 Zone 34, a fellowship of 83 clubs spread over 10 countries covering 16 islands in the Northwest Caribbean. Rotary Has Heart, another inspiration program through Rotary Central.
Headlines. With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news.
Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Country classics.
Well, I was born to coal miner's daughter.
On the road again. They're gonna put me in the movies.
Papa Top again.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso.
Because you're mine, I walk the line.
Well, I love them in
Country classics.
young love, first love.
You never count your money when you're sitting at the table.
If you enjoy classic country music, come hang out with Radio K-Man this Saturday, 3:30 to 6 p.m.
In the Mississippi cotton picking Delta town.
This Saturday afternoon, following American Country Countdown, 3:30 to 6 on Radio K-Man.
Just walk on by. Wait on the corner.
Country classics.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the Record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio K-Man.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio now. We have our phone lines open for you to call in if you have any comments, any questions, anything that you want to share with us as well. I want to remind you, our toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037, 949-6990. Email us at For the Record. That is one word, For the Record, at candw.ky. And, of course, you can follow us simply by subscribing to Radio K-Man live stream. The first segment of the show this morning, we had former leader of government business, former member of our Legislative Assembly, former minister, Honorable D. Kurt Tibbetts, and we had the current Minister for Education, Agriculture, Lands, Sports, Honorable Juliana O'Connor Connolly, on with us, and we were talking about the 52nd annual agricultural show taking place in the Cayman Islands on this Wednesday, Ash Wednesday, the 6th of March. Most schools, I'm told, on WhatsApp are closed today except for UCCI and a few private schools that are open. The agricultural show, third agricultural show, 1966, that would be the fourth one. And this is coming from the Tradewinds newspaper, Thursday, the 3rd of March, 1966. I want to also remind you and give credit that I am privileged to read from these Tradewinds newspaper, courtesy of Miss Joellen Thompson, who I believe was able to get a lot of these copies from Mrs. Ardith Smith, who worked at the Tradewinds at that time, and she was also a contributor for the West Bay section of that. I believe before that, Mr. Spurgeon may have been, I'm trying to remember now who was the correspondent before that. I'll find that somewhere in here as well. So, and at that agriculture show, the report on the 3rd of March 1966 reads, the following are some of the prize winners at the annual agricultural fair. It was called Agricultural Fair then. Even though the title says agricultural show, I guess they use it interchangeably. Held on the grounds of the Secondary Grammar School on February the 23rd, 1966. And it goes on to, and I'm going to give credit and name some of the names of people then. Some of them may not be around, unfortunately may not be around now. Vegetables and fruits, the names listed in order of the prize, first, second, etc. For arrowroot, a gentleman by the name of Mr. Osborne Barnett won first prize, and Miss Elsa Ebanks from Georgetown won Second prize for avocados, Mr. A.L. Thompson from South Sound won the prize. For bananas, Miss Rosedine Jackson from Savannah, first prize, Mr. A.L. Thompson. Second prize for beans, Mr. Nolan Smith of North Side. For cabbage, Mr. Oliver Coe from Georgetown, and Mr. Bertram Ebanks from Northside. For carrots, Mr. A.L. Thompson. For cassava, Mr. Bertram Ebanks. For guinea corn, we used to have guinea corn in those days. Do we still get guinea corn here in the Cayman Islands? I'm not sure. If you do know about it, tell me. For guinea corn, Mr. Osborne Barnett. For lemons, Miss Rosedine Jackson and Mr. First prize, Mr. Nolan Smith. Second prize for limes, Mr. Bertrand Ebanks. Also, Captain Theo Borden got second. He got a special prize for limes as well. For onions, Mr. A.L. Thompson. For oranges, Mr. A.L. Thompson. Miss Rosedine Jackson. For papaya, what we call pawpaw in the Cayman Islands, papaya. If you want to be a little bit more proper, papaya instead of pawpaw. Mr. Bertram Ebanks for hot peppers. Mr. Bertram Ebanks for sweet peppers. Mr. A.L. Thompson for sweet potatoes. Nolan Smith, A.L. Thompson for plantains. Bertrand Ebanks for shallot. Mr. A.L. Thompson and Mr. Bertrand Ebanks. For tomatoes, Mr. A.L. Thompson and Mr. Bertrand Ebanks. For yams, Mr. Bertrand Ebanks. George Ebanks, North Side. He had a yam that was, 17 pounds? And then for yam pies, what am I talking about? Yam pies. They had it all one word, Y-A-M-P-I-E-S. Yam pies, Mr. Bertrand Ebanks and Mr. George Ebanks. For straw work. So let's talk about the agricultural products, the vegetables and fruits. We see who the dominant persons, the dominant players in the agricultural section was those days. Mr. A.L. Thompson, for instance, and we know that he had a farm down in the area. I believe part of his farm was in the area where the theater and where the nightclub was located as well. For straw work, for waste basket, first prize was Miss Florence Tatum. For the fancy basket, first prize went to Miss Mary Christian. Second prize went to Miss Florence Tatum. For plant basket, second prize went to Miss Florence Tatum. For hats, first prize went to Miss Mary Christian. Second prize, Miss Florence Tatum. Miss Florence Tatum also dominated for bedside mats, for lamp shades, for brushes, she dominated as well, and for yard brooms, Mr. George Ebanks. For horticulture, roses, first place went to Mrs. Sheila Watler. For geraniums. First place went to Miss Ina Coe. Chrysanthemums, first place went to Miss Ina Watler. For begonias, first place went to Miss Ina Watler. For the African violets, first place went to Miss Ardith Smith. I spoke about her earlier. For bridal bouquet went to Miss Ardith Smith. And for corsages, first and second place went to Miss Ardith Smith as well. What else about these agriculture show in 1966? Then we had the Cayman Beautification campaign. At that time, they gave a prize for beautifying Cayman as well. And for Georgetown, Mr. Bert Thompson of Crew Road won first prize, and Mrs. Theo Borden won second prize. For Northside, Mr. Craig Ebanks won first prize, and Mr. Bertram Ebanks won second prize. Again, that's for beautification. For East End, Miss Velia McLean won first prize, and Miss Vernicia Watler of Gunbay won second prize. The dog show, they had a dog show as well, and the first prize, owner Mr. and Mrs. J. H. Smith of West Bay won first prize. Whitesea, female 15-month owner Mr. and Mrs. Maurice Muse, some of you may remember them. And for the King, male 2.5-year owner Mr. Carl Farrell, the late Carl Farrell. Other awards, Carl Farrell also won prizes in the arts exhibit for the third consecutive year. For Parrots, Miss Beulah McLaughlin and Mr. Bertram Ebanks won prizes. For White Pigeons, Mr. A.N. Borden. And then for Steer, this is in the section for cattle, Mr. Melbourne Watler of Lower Valley won for the steer, and Mr. Ellsworth Watler. For bull, Mr. Ellsworth Watler. For yam cake, Miss Ramona Ebanks of Northside. For fancy cake, Miss Mary Solomon, Halfway Pond Road. Those of you know, do you know where Halfway Pond Road is? I bet you. Some of you don't know Halfway Pond where it is. Some of you do. For fruit cake, Miss Isabel Nixon, famous for making those fruit cakes and stuff like that. And she was down in Copper Boilers where Miss Isabel Nixon lived. For pineapple upside down cake, I could eat one right now. Miss Essie Nixon won for that. And for marmalade, Mr. A.L. Thompson. I already told you about the beauty contest. Miss Carol Arch was the winner. She is now Miss Carol Ann Pardo. Sharon Parsons, she was the first runner-up. They used to live right almost opposite where the lobster pot is located now as well. And Miss Arlene Marin was the second runner-up as well. So our agricultural show in those days was extremely popular. Oh, we had a baby show too. We had a baby show as well. Have enough time? 3 minutes. Here we go. Pictured with their mothers are 6 to 12 months. Thomas Chester, 11 months, son of Police Constable Mr. and Mrs. Chester Ebanks of West Bay. It took first place. Bruce, 7, son of Mr. and Mrs. Antonio Martinez, Georgetown, second. Girls, Diane Elaine, 6 months, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Stafford Ebanks of West Bay. Paula, 7 months, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Ted Miller, Mount Pleasant, second. 18-month category, 12 to 18-month category, boys, Kevin Watler first. Wayne Patton second. Girls, Desiree Ebanks first. 18 to 24 months, Thelda Rivers first. Andrea Borden second. Davelyn Parsons second as well. So we had the baby show. We had all of that going on at our agriculture show. Hope I didn't embarrass anyone by calling their names, but you were part of the news in 1966. You were part of the agricultural show in 1966. Those of you who want to be a part of the agriculture show this year, this coming Wednesday, the 6th of March, you can go out there. I'm not sure if the reporting will be as detailed as it was in 1966 from the Trade Winds newspaper, and we are extremely thankful and grateful for them giving such detailed information, and I'm extremely thankful and grateful to Miss Ardis Smith, the late Ardis Smith, for sharing this with Miss Joellen Thompson, and I'm extremely grateful and thankful that Miss Joellen Thompson has shared it with me, and I am more than happy to share it with you, our listening and viewing audience. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are brothers and our sisters keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Draining Banks at 12:15 for talk today, and as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
Community radio with a different appeal. The voice of the people. Security through adversity.
Stuck on you.
Radio for all time.
You're listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The police service has partnered with the portfolio of the civil service to upskill its officers and civilian staff in customer service, leadership, and management. The mandatory courses will be held over the next several months until all RCIPS employees have completed the training. Cardinal George Pell is being sued by a man who alleges he was sexually abused by the cleric in an Australian swimming pool in the 70s. Pell has consistently denied committing abuse in a pool in Ballarat, Victoria in the 1970s. Last week, prosecutors dropped criminal charges against him relating to that decade. He's now being sued in a civil case. In December, Pell was found guilty of sexually abusing 2 boys in Melbourne in 1996. He's challenging the verdict. And the Prodigy star Keith Flint has died at the age of 49, instantly recognizable for his fluorescent spiked hair and incendiary performances. The musician sang lead vocals on both the band's #1 singles, Breathe and Firestarter. He was found dead in his home Monday morning. Flint had recently returned to the UK from a tour in Australia and was due to start a U.S. tour in May. Those